I declare this celebration open.
As Deputy Head of College, I'm delighted to welcome all of you gathered here today as we reunite the class of 2020 in celebration of their achievements during their time at Birmingham and indeed since. This is not a normal degree ceremony, not taking place at a normal time. Of course, these have not been normal times, and the global pandemic has impacted all of our lives in ways that we could not have imagined only 18 months ago. You will all have your own memories of how you felt in the spring and summer of 2020 as you can see, vibrant campus community moved almost entirely online. It's not the conclusion to your degrees that you had wanted, or indeed that we had wanted for you. Yet, in the most challenging of circumstances, you showed that resilience, ingenuity, and tenacity that we like to think represents the best of a Birmingham student and a Birmingham graduate. You adapted, persevered, and then graduated with our esteem and admiration. Whether you've completed an undergraduate, postgraduate, or research degree, I trust that you will look back with fondness on your years with us at Birmingham. We're proud of your achievements, and you should be proud of them too. Graduation is a defining moment in the university's calendar, and your graduation is a defining moment in your lives. It's a moment that we as a university could not let pass without the celebration and recognition that it deserved. We celebrated your graduation virtually in the summer of 2020 and always remain committed to bringing you back to this beautiful campus for a true Birmingham graduation experience, indeed on a wonderful day. We're actually only one of a few universities that are holding any kind of graduation celebration on campus for their 2020 graduates. And the events and activities that we're hosting today demonstrate the value that we place on you and your achievements. We hope that you will enjoy this opportunity to be reunited with each other, to share your success with friends and family, to put on your robes, and to recognize and reflect on your achievements during your degree and since. This may not be an ordinary graduation ceremony, but it's, as I say, not been an ordinary 18 months. And during the pandemic, the university community has stepped up and played a major part in the nation's response to the crisis. Our researchers have developed new tests to detect COVID, new medical interventions for those suffering from it, and have contributed to the understanding of the disease so that we might better deal with it. And many of you have supported vulnerable members of the community, in Selly Oak perhaps, but also in your communities further afield, distributing food and medicine to those most in need, volunteering in hospitals, helping neighbours. Student response to the pandemic that you began in 2020 has continued, and we remain ever grateful and ever in awe, actually, at the way in which our students continue to support their communities and each other. You're extraordinary people, and we're here to celebrate your achievements. You came to the University of Birmingham because you wanted to come to a great place of learning. You wanted to test yourself, and you wanted to equip yourselves for the next phase of life. And you stand here today having overcome all barriers and having already begun the first steps in what we are sure will be rich and fulfilling lives after your studies here. The degree celebrations in the Green Heart this year are a first, in what is a university of firsts in many ways. We were the first campus university, the first to incorporate a medical school, to the first to allow women to take medical degrees, and indeed to create a women's hall of residence. More recently, we were the first university to open a secondary school, and the first, indeed, sign of the times, to establish a Pillar 2 testing laboratory for COVID on site. So perhaps today represents a first for you. Let me particularly congratulate those of you who are the first in your families to graduate, or others might have been the first in the family to study in this country, or maybe the first to achieve a postgraduate qualification. I'm sure that many of you will be the first to make a particular discovery in your area of doctoral research, and I remember myself how exciting that feeling is. You're also the first to graduate through a global pandemic and to take your next steps into employment or further afield as that pandemic continued to afflict the world. So you've overcome challenges that few others have faced before, and have stories, of course, of what this has meant for you. So today, after all, is a day to tell stories, individual stories for each of you, graduates of all ages, backgrounds, nationalities, who have animated this great university. Each of you gathered here represent an individual chapter, we feel, written into the history of this university. All of you will have your own unique and personal story of what it took for you to complete your degree and the challenges that you faced. And each of you here can feel extraordinarily proud of what you've accomplished. It's an interesting time for me to reflect on my own experience of the pandemic and contribution. As Professor of Hematology and Immunology, I wanted, of course, to do my part in helping to control the pandemic, and I was able to lead the Immunology Consortium for the country, the UK Coronavirus Immunology Consortium, which brought together 20 universities led from the University of Birmingham. Our laboratories also studied the immune response and vaccine response in patients at risk, patients with immune suppression, such as leukemia, where we've already now completed the biggest vaccine study ever in that condition. And we study patients at the range of ages, children, old people. And remarkably, we've undertaken immune analysis of the most vulnerable group, that's patients in residential homes. And in the last year, we've received 10,000 samples through this university from UK care homes. Remarkable achievement, really. But none of this could have happened without the multidisciplinary nature of this university and its facilitative environment. We've had medical students working in the laboratory, ringing up patients, arranging appointments, and so forth. We've worked with biomedical scientists in understanding the assays. Who would have thought that those lectures you went through on messenger RNA could underpin the major vaccine response to this pandemic? And indeed, we've got many representatives here from engineering and physical sciences. Biology these days and medicine is about data and analysis, and we've worked closely with physics over the last 2 years. Indeed, took a physics student in our laboratory over the summer. And I was talking to Callum earlier about how we will work with physics to understand programs such as machine learning, which will dominate biomedicine in the near future. So I think what this pandemic has told us, that whatever the challenges, be it pandemics, be it climate change or water, the solutions will come from these multidisciplinary environments that we have here today. You can look around and see arts, law, medicine, physics, all on one campus. And that's something that we must retain and respect. For most of you, last summer will have marked the end of one kind of relationship with the university and the start of a new one. You've now spent more than a year as a member of a distinguished family, a family with over 300,000 members in more than 170 countries around the world, the alumni of this University of Birmingham. Our alumni engage an astonishing array of projects and professions, and we look forward to witnessing your own professional achievements and successes being added to that list in the years to come. So you and those who are with you have many reasons to be proud today. We share in that pride, and in that spirit of pride and of accomplishment, I now hand over to Callum Bellhouse to continue this celebration event. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Fellow graduates and academic colleagues, it's a massive honor and a privilege to be able to stand here and talk on behalf of all the students graduating today. Particularly, it's a huge challenge to summarize the vast range of different experiences and opportunities each one of us has had, and every one of our stories will be different. In astrophysics, when dealing with the universe, we have to tackle a lot of overwhelmingly large numbers, masses of stars, speeds of galaxies, sizes of galaxy clusters. But even with those in mind, I struggle to consider the vast number of different combinations each one of us has taken of different societies, sports clubs, student accommodations, courses and specializations. The total number of different paths each one of us could have taken through our time at the university is unimaginably large. After years of studying here, there are still student societies I didn't know exist, clubs for sports I've never heard of, and entire buildings I still haven't been in. Every one of us has their own individual memories to look back upon, and I think that's one of the most special aspects of life at university, that our experiences here are as unique as our fingerprints. That being said, there are many things that I'm sure we've shared throughout our time here, which I'm sure we'll all look fondly back upon. Meeting new friends and course mates and forging relationships that will far outlast our time here. Enjoying events and festivals on campus like Vale Fest and Vale Fireworks. Trying hard to keep those all-nighters studying at home and all-nighters out at Broad Street perfectly balanced, as all things should be. And the most rewarding times of all, finally stepping out of the last exam or handing in the finished thesis. I actually enjoyed graduating so much from the University of Birmingham, I'm doing it twice. I graduated from my Master's in Physics and Astrophysics in 2015 and was lucky enough to get a PhD position here to continue on. That leads me to another number I struggle to comprehend, that it's 10 years ago that I was preparing to move on to the Vale and start my journey here. Many areas of the campus have remained familiar in that time, like the iconic red brick buildings and Old Joe. And many areas have changed dramatically over the years, from the new music building to the new library and the Green Heart. Throughout the time I've been here, the bookstore I bought my undergraduate textbooks from became the coffee house where I'd meet friends at lunchtimes. The place I studied for my undergraduate finals in the library became part of the Green Heart, where I'd later pace and think while writing my PhD thesis. All of us will have a long list of memories to take away from this ever-changing campus. This is a particularly unique graduation, special in its own way because it's been such a long time coming. We've been patiently waiting for our opportunity to meet up, dress up, and congratulate each other and ourselves on a massive accomplishment. None of us had to be here. You've all had your degrees or PhDs for over a year now, but you're all here anyway. You're here to show support for each other, to reunite with the friends you've made in your time here, and to finally have your moment to appreciate what you've managed to achieve here. That passion and that pride in your accomplishment is what drives a University of Birmingham graduate. So I probably don't need to tell you, but breathe and take it all in today. At this point, under the circumstances of a typical graduation, you'd be hearing about how the future is in our hands and that we've been equipped with the tools we need to solve any challenges we might face in the future. But in the time since we finished our studies over the past year, we were already thrown into one of the biggest challenges of a generation. And what's more, the friends I made and fellow graduates have already been out there playing their parts, however big or small, working as doctors, medical staff and volunteers, chemical engineers developing vaccines, linguists translating vital information across countries, physicists modeling and simulating protein structures. So many of my colleagues and course mates have already been playing vital roles in tackling this challenge, and I'm incredibly proud of the work that my friends and colleagues have done over this past year. So this time, we can safely say that the present and the future are in very safe hands. So finally, I'd like to take this opportunity to say a word of thanks on behalf of my fellow graduates and academic colleagues to the lecturers, technicians, and staff all across the campus who've guided us, mentored us, and helped us through the highlights and struggles of our education here. And also to the family and friends who've supported us along the way. So please join me as we express our gratitude. Thank you all very much, and I'll hand you over to Tom Goodman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Callum. And I think a very, very warm welcome to everyone here today. I'll start with a quick tip. If you take your hat off, it's quite a good fan. So if you are getting a bit warm, I highly recommend doing that. First of all, a huge congratulations to the class of 2020. So I'm Tom, a PhD student here in the School of Computer Science. I graduated my bachelor's here in 2018, and I know what a special day this is for each and every one of you, both in the marquee and everyone who's outside in the sun and hopefully not getting sunstroke. It may not be what you expected, or indeed when you expected, but I really hope that this lives up to your expectations and you're able to have a really good time on campus today. It's an absolute honor to be able to address you at this celebration and share in this special day with you and your family and friends. Since July, this is my 38th ceremony, so I'd quickly like to allay any doubts. Yes, that opening music really does live rent-free in my nightmares. What I always find so humbling about sitting here on this stage is the fact that each and every one of you has a unique story of your time here as Birmingham, as Callum was saying. The friends you've made, societies you've joined, run, and founded, all those all-nighters you pulled because you left that assignment a little bit too late. And to quote one of our previous student speakers, all of those, you only need 40% to pass, nights out. Each of those is arguably far more important than your degree because they're what makes you, you. And that's exactly what this ceremony is about, you. And in the wake, and you know what's coming, an unprecedented crisis, in perhaps one of the most difficult situations you're ever going to face, each and every one of you has not only managed to complete your degrees, but kept afloat in this pandemic, battled it out in one of the toughest job markets in forever, and many of you have been working on the front lines and in the local and wider communities to help to try and pull us out of this. As has already been said, you are absolutely some of the most resilient, tenacious, and downright incredible individuals to graduate from this university. And those skills and the character that you've built in this time will go a long way to making sure that you succeed at whatever you turn your hand to, whatever that may be. After all, it's hard to imagine a time as bad as we've just been through. One of the most incredible things about Birmingham is the community, which you were all a huge part of. The incredible people at this university is what I think all of here leave with the fondest memories about, and it's so important to remember that this isn't the end of that for you. For over a year now, you've been part of an over 300,000 strong alumni community. The friends you made here will be some of the best you're ever going to make, so keep in touch. And there are going to be tons of opportunities for you to give back to current and future students through initiatives like mentoring. And on that note, you might be standing there, and I certainly would be, thinking, what advice could I possibly give to future students? And the answer to that is simple. Share your story, your experiences, and your knowledge with them. And most importantly, act as a role model for them. You can be the one to inspire them to take the opportunities in front of them, to get through their degrees, and then to do the same for others. I've got another piece of advice for you now, and that's what I'll end on. It's easy to put your successes and wins, where you are now, down to luck. I think we're all guilty of a fun little bit of imposter syndrome. And especially now, it's easy to assume that you've got to where you are because wherever that may be, because the circumstances just happen to be right. But I want you to reflect on that right now. You aren't here through luck or circumstance. You're here because of your determination, your hard work, your courage, and your strength. Of course, the support of your loved ones who are around you right now has undoubtedly played a huge part in that. And not only that, you have been a huge part of other people's journeys even now. So keep hold of that and go back out into the world. I mean, you've already been there for a year and a half, knowing that you make your own luck by seeing and seizing the opportunities that may otherwise have passed you by. As I've already said, you are all incredible, and by being kind, thoughtful, wise, and proactive, each of you is going to go on to be a positive influence in countless people's lives and in the world. To quote my friend Millie, who's back over in teaching and learning at the moment, "Dan, you did this."
Thank you, Callum and Thomas, for those really excellent words. Great representatives of the student body here at the university. And a very good morning to you all, a very warm morning to you all. It really is wonderful to see so many of our graduates, the class of 2020, and your families back with us on the campus for this event, this celebration event. It's an occasion which, as others have said, was sadly delayed by a year, unavoidably delayed by a year. But it really is an important moment to celebrate your achievements, to really reflect on all the hard work that you put into getting your degrees, and more generally to reflect on your time as a student at the University of Birmingham. It's a landmark moment in your lives, which I hope you will look back on in years to come with great fondness. Most of you, the students, the graduates amongst us, will have joined the university several years ago. I think it's worth reflecting on how you felt when you first came to university. I'm sure there was lots of excitement, but inevitably there have been some trepidation. This is a huge organization and a big change for you all. But from that moment, you met new people, developed new ideas, overcame new challenges, many challenges, which you've heard about earlier. You grew academically, intellectually, socially, and of course, more broadly, personally. Now today, you have spent more than a year as graduates and alumni of this university, and as Professor Moss said, that's a network of 300,000 people scattered around the world, a hugely important network for you to engage with. So let me add my congratulations to you all. Well done. And Callum touched on another important element. You wouldn't have achieved this without others, the support of others. The staff here at the university who've taught you and looked after you, hugely important, but also the other people in this marquee and elsewhere, your families, your friends, your loved ones, who have provided you with lots of support, not just during your time as a student here at the university, but throughout your life. So come on, graduates, give a big cheer for your families, those people. Now, for those of you who have begun or indeed have continued your working lives after graduation, you have undoubtedly entered one of the most challenging job markets in living memory. To those who have been successful and entered their chosen profession, many congratulations, and we very much hope that you find your new careers fulfilling, challenging, and enjoyable. For those who are yet to do so, please do not lose heart. You are a Birmingham graduate, and a degree from this university is not easily obtained. It is valued by all the country's top employers who recognise that the university provides you with an outstanding education and equips you with the intellectual curiosity, confidence, knowledge and transferable skills required to thrive in your careers and make a difference in the world. You are already a high achiever. And while there will always be challenges and some setbacks, we have no doubt that you will make a success of any task and any challenge you set yourself. Birmingham graduates have always been characterized by their perseverance, their tenacity, and their personal resilience. Yet, as we've heard from others on the stage, as a graduating class of 2020, these have been tested in truly unique ways. Many of you will have faced personal challenges, significant personal challenges, whether you've had to recover from COVID itself, spent periods self-isolating, coped with studying or working at home in isolation, or took on extra caring responsibilities. Some of you will inevitably have experienced the sadness of a personal loss. You will know the ways in which the pandemic has affected you personally, and you should be proud of all that you have accomplished in the face of such adversity. Do not forget the character you have shown. Instead, draw on it as a strength. You have seen your way through uncertain and difficult times, unique times. Whatever challenges you face in the future, you will be as well equipped as any to meet and to overcome them. As a graduate of this university, you have gone out into a world that desperately needs you. It is a world that you can help to remake. A world that you can help to reshape. A world that needs the kind of skills, the ability, and the commitment that characterize a University of Birmingham student and graduate. Our motto speaks of this, per ardua ad alta, which roughly translated means through great efforts to high things, the degrees we celebrate today. But your efforts will now take you to new places and to still greater heights. You will test yourselves, you will prove yourselves, and together you will help rebuild the world for a better future for us all. So, whatever career you choose to pursue, and indeed wherever you find yourself in the world, you can be assured that you will always be part of the Birmingham family, part of our alumni community and network. We hope to welcome you back again in the future, whether that is for further study, to mentor a student, to come to an event, or simply to enjoy our campus, to reunite with your friends and celebrate life back at the university. We will always be here to provide you with advice, to support you, and to celebrate with you as your lives and your careers develop. So as I draw this particular celebration to a close, let me thank you for everything you have given to us and to each other during your studies with us, and all that you have continued to do since your graduation last year. This university would not exist but for its remarkable students and its remarkable alumni. I wish each of you great success in the future, and I trust and hope that your experiences here at Birmingham will continue to shape your lives. Thank you. And I now declare this celebration closed.